thank you guys for being a part of this tonight. Thank you for not only being on this call, but also for support of the show as well tonight. I want to thank Mr. Barrasso here for doing the pre-show for us. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. And I thought we had a great event tonight. I thought both the men's 5-way and the women's NXT championships matches really delivered something special. The $1 Million Championship, which just in a show like In Your House, where there's so much nostalgia and everything else, and sort of feel good that you can bring something back like the $1 Million belt and see just the prestige of it, and even among the talent here, just seeing that championship and seeing Ted be around is so awesome. I thought, both Mercedes and Martinez and Zaya Li worked incredibly hard and had a great match. Zaya's first time in a takeover, representing herself very well and continuing that storyline. And then, of course, I thought the 6-man winner-take-all match with Bronson, MSK, Legatos was just an off-the-chart way to start. So, exciting night. Really excited to have some fans back here in attendance tonight and be a part of this. And I'm going to open it up to you guys. Oh, and by the way, sorry.
Oh, yeah, Sean's here.
Yeah, and as a spectacular build-up, Sean.
Yep. Thanks for nothing.
Sean, any comments about the show?
No, his comments and that very underwhelming introduction, I think, will be enough.
All right, before we go to the phones, we'll go back to our tradition of allowing a question from a person that's in attendance. That would be tonight Justin Barrasso from Sports Illustrated. Justin, go ahead.
Thank you. Paul, opening up with the main event, how do you there's just so many moving pieces, but I think that all 5 pieces did exactly what they wanted and established themselves and made Karrion Kross look like a dominant champion. How do you, a match like that, how do you gauge, what are your takeaways from a match like that?
So for me, I think going into it, when you have talent like that in the ring, when you have 5 guys that are that talented and Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, and of course Karrion Kross, and I think that people negate Kross's experience and what he brings to the table. It's totally different character, but his ability and his skill level and what he brings to the table is awesome. When you have talent that good, we're in the fortunate position we can just walk up to them, say, here's what we're looking to get at, here's where we're looking to come out of this feeling, and then let them go do what they do. And that's what they did tonight. And, my opinion, every one of those guys that's in that ring always delivers. So, Sean, you want to?
Yeah, well, I was just writing down here. It's like 4 sports cars and 1 monster truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is. It's clearly a number of different styles in there. And I know that a lot of people sort of lump Cole and Gargano and O'Reilly and Dunn almost in the same ilk, and then you have Kross on the outside. But when you break it down again, all those guys are very different and have very unique abilities and qualities in and of themselves. And then you add, sort of the intangible of Karrion Kross in there that is altogether different. I think everybody knows he's not of the NXT mold, so to speak, but that's what makes it so appealing to me, because again, you've got, like I said, this one sort of, unbelievably huge, damaging, powerful monster truck around these very, finesse-oriented wrestlers, grapplers, submission artists, and just ring technicians. And I think it's a great quality. And we saw that tonight. And, as Hunter said, I always have a nice time with all those guys and say, all right, here we go. Now go out there and, do what you do. You know what I mean? Dazzle us, boys. And they always deliver in that respect.
As a quick follow-up, Paul, Zaya Li
Yeah.
has not had an opportunity like that. I thought she was sensational. That moment can sometimes swallow you, could eat you up. It didn't tonight with her.
Yeah, she's been so, people underestimate the what it takes to be in this business. And when we went to China, however many years ago it was, and had the tryout, Zaya came from a village where she didn't even know what WWE was. She was this incredible athlete, involved in mixed martial arts, involved in all kinds of different fighting skills, CrossFit, incredibly fit. Her personality just was huge, even though she barely spoke English. But she had never, she came from a small place where she had never heard of what WWE was. And I remember them saying to her, it's like Kung Fu Theater, and like her, oh, okay. And then she came in for the tryout, and just watching her over the course of like 2 or 3 days, like just fall in love with it. And by the end of that week, she was in a place where, I think her soul would have been crushed if we didn't bring her to the United States with us. And when we told her that she was going to come, there was a moment before we told her that, the day before, where I was doing an interview over there, and she did the interview with her, and they were telling me about her part of the interview, and they said, what if you get chosen? Like, does your family know you're here? And she said no. And what would happen if you get this opportunity and you tell your family you're going to have to move to the United States? Like, it was like they would disown her. And she just said, like, at this point, like, now this has become my dream. So I would have to tell them that this is my dream and I have to do this in a place where that's not how it works for women, in a small village where that's not how it works, that none of that is a direction that she would have been allowed to go in and told no. And then we gave her the call, and then she had to go handle all of that with her family and against everybody's wishes, sort of follow her dream and come here to a place where she knew, just the other nationals that came with her, and learn the language and just learn every aspect of this. And she's been grinding ever since, and there's moments where you give them little bits and pieces. 4 years ago, we put her in I think it was a little less than 4 years ago, we put her in the Mae Young Classic, and she wrestled Mercedes, and she did spectacular, and she cried that night. And, to see it come full circle to where she is right now, and have the moment that they're in with the Tian Sha storyline and everything else, which has had little starts here with COVID and injuries and everything else. But to just see that, we say this all the time. There's moments like that, which it's why you do this. There's moments like her tonight that, at rehearsals today, I felt like she was having, just during her entrance, like knowing where she was going today, felt like she was having a hard time keeping it together. And it can swallow you up. But then she delivers, and she delivers spectacularly. But people have no idea what that pressure is like. So it just makes all of this so meaningful and so worthwhile. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to the phones. One question per outlet, please.
Thank you. We'll take our first question from Jim Vasselin from Miami Herald. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, Jim.
Thank you. Really good show again. Glad we're doing the Scorsese-Spielberg tag team again. Appreciate that. Guys, what can you tell me about the $1 million ladder match, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, both competitors, but especially LA Knight, and just him now holding that title and representing what you all want him to represent?
Well, so I go to so first of all, when we started this, it was quite some time ago when it was just Cameron Grimes sincerely. No one had even contacted DiBiase.
Yeah.
And he was just, coming out. We were doing different skits. Damn that Ted DiBiase. And we were doing that for several weeks. And then, of course, somebody says, geez, should somebody call DiBiase and see if we can get him? So this is one of those stories for us that has turned out so much bigger and better, I think, than we had originally planned. And obviously, then you fast forward and not knowing either one of these two, their backgrounds and the role that DiBiase played in their growing up as wrestling fans. And I personally wasn't aware of it until I think just last week when after, we made the match. And then, of course, both of them expressing, I guess nobody told them we were bringing the championship and the title. And they were blown away by it. This story had gotten so much bigger. I hope it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, but because they didn't know, they were like, "Oh my God, this is like we're going to be having a match for the $1 million championship." And both of them just went on about stories when they were little and having no idea that they'd have an opportunity. I don't know. You always hear somebody wanting to be WWE champion or Intercontinental champion. But they both had a story about the $1 million championship and the role that Ted DiBiase played in their growing up. And again, that's one of those things that never ceases to blow me away here because we have so much of that at NXT. Just like, again, I won't say who because they may not be comfortable with it, but just two people on the show today walking out and looking at that In Your House set and it taking them back to when they were kids. And, and they pulled me aside, and they're like, geez, man, I mean, we just never thought that, this is In Your House, this is so cool. Them seeing, meeting Todd Pettengill was a blast. And so, it's all that kind of stuff, again, has just gotten so much bigger and better as we continue to do some of this throwback stuff. And once again, it's, for all of us older guys, it's a huge appreciation for the role that the WWE and some of the, the superstars of the past have played in, not just our lives, but now in the lives of so many of our NXT stars.
It's interesting to me that we were talking about this. Sean and I were having dinner last night. That it used to be when we came in to the business, you sort of weren't allowed. You almost weren't allowed to admit that you were a fan. Yeah. You almost weren't allowed to admit that you watched the programming, or if you said to somebody, "Oh man, I was a huge fan of you growing up," man, you were just an outcast. And to see that be able to change, and to see guys appreciate it, and what it means to them because you knew what it meant to you, and to see that be able to be expressed now, and admired, the business is in such a different place. It's great, and I'm happy for all of them. I can tell you, the first time that they both Grimes and LA Knight saw that $1 million title for the first time, they both had to turn away and kind of take a deep breath because they both got tears in their eyes, and it was really cool to see.
Thank you. We'll take our next question from Alistair McGeorge from Metro UK. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi guys. How's it going?
Very good. Yourself?
Good? Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I wanted to touch on Todd Pettengill because I was speaking to him this week, and he said basically he's very open to doing more with NXT and with the company at this point. Is there any interest from your side, or is it likely this is going to be kept sort of in your house?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. Like a Pettengill opportunity as to be regular, or?
Yeah, he said basically to me this week that he was very open to that idea and would like to do more, but was happy to fit in wherever you guys sort of see fit for him.
Yeah, I think I think in these situations there's always stuff to do. The tricky balance is nostalgia being nostalgia, and then it being, too much of that, and it becoming. The reason it's nostalgia is you saw it so much growing up that you love it, and you want to see it come back and see the group come and play their biggest hits and all that stuff. If you do it too many times, then it can become overwhelming and not nostalgic anymore. Now it just becomes current and you're not that interested. So it's a fine balance. I'm wide open to working with Todd and doing other stuff with him, and hopefully we can do a lot together. I think there's room for all of that. But it's a fine balance, and we just have to be cautious of that,
Thank you. We'll take our next question from the line of Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Outside of the Iron Man match that we saw last year, this was like the first NXT title match with more than two people in it in like 6 or 7 years. That causes a lot of pace changes, a lot of production changes. Can you all tell us about maybe some of the challenges or benefits of running something like this as a main event, as opposed to the traditional one-on-one matches that we've seen main event so many takeovers?
I think for me, it all comes down to where you are, not only in the moment, storyline-wise, what you have available to you, obviously, with injuries and everything else, but then where you are storyline-wise and where you're trying to get to. To me, I'm always a big fan of one-on-one storytelling, and to me, when you can get there, those are the cleanest, the personal stories, even if they revolve around championships or, at the end of the day, that's the goal in some manner in the business. So if you can make personal rivalries around that between individuals, to me, it's always the strongest. But when you have that many talented people like you have in this instance, and you have a moment in time where it gets you to a better place to put everybody in there, and where you're trying to go storyline-wise, then that's a good a good thing. And if you do them all the time, they don't mean anything. But having them now and then, they're special when you do them. Sean?
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I mean, to Sean's point, the last time we did one was a year ago, and we did that again because of where we were going, and we went to a good place after that. And and again, a year later, the timing felt right, to do it again, because we feel, we like always, we hope on, following it up in a way that is
the most meaningful,
exactly, and beneficial to the brand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for the question, Sean.
We'll take our next question from Gary Cassidy from Inside the Ropes. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, Gary.
Hi, guys. Congratulations on another brilliant takeover. So I want to go back to my favourite moment of the night, of course, was the Tian Sha faction getting another brilliant development. It's so different to what people perceive NXT to be, or what they used to, with it being, pure wrestling. Whereas, it's spooky stuff, and we see that on Raw with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, and it seems to get a much more mixed reaction on Raw, despite it being on a more suited program. I want to ask if you guys see a difference there, and if there was any hesitance to doing such a different storyline on NXT.
So, I'm a big fan of variety within the shows and having things that are different, different characters, when you can get them, different characters, different personalities, different size of performers, all of that, but also different, characters in general. So you get an LA Knight, you can get a Johnny Gargano, who was a serious, as serious of a wrestler as you can be, because your name becomes Johnny Wrestling. And then, you morph that character and he goes into the way with all these other people, and it's one of the most entertaining things on the show. But at any point in time, you could pull that trigger and he's right back into the wrestling mode. To have characters like Tian Sha, I think you have to handle them slightly differently so that you can make them sort of make sense in your world, right? There's certain, I guess, parameters or rules to the universe that you're in. Everybody's is different, right? All the shows are slightly different. I feel like even there's a slight difference between even just Raw and SmackDown as to what works on one show, what doesn't on others. I feel ours is the same way. So having that good mix is great, but also how you handle them and making sure that they fit within the sort of the universe that you're existing in. And I think the best example of that for me would be like Marvel does a really good job with it of, having serious, almost dramatic movies, and then having moments where, this guy's a god and the other guy's a robot and this guy's from outer space, and yet it all fits in, and they do a good job of keeping it reasonably, working within that world. I think that's the trick. That's the difficult part that we strive to try to do. Sean?
Yeah, no, I just look, for me, I guess I always look at it as there are some people and some characters or some groups that have the ability to look larger than life. And then we have other And I'd argue that about me. Taker. Well, I'm saying Taker was somebody again that was a little bit more larger than life, so it was a much bigger production when he was coming out, as opposed to the Heartbreak Kid. It was just music and some silly dancing. But you know what I mean. And I guess that was because his was such a stronger character than mine. Mine was more again about the guy, the wrestler that eventually took all the earrings off and stuff like that. So I think so much it has to do again with each individual character, their style, their persona. You know what I mean? I think a lot of those things. That would be my guess. You look at those and sort of determine. I don't know. Is this something that has the ability to make a little bit bigger, to make a bit more dramatic? And darker. Yeah.
I can also tell you, there's just certain people that don't have that, whatever you want to look at, theatrical flair or something, right? Where if you put them in a costume and you go, all right, go out here and do this entrance with this cool costume on and all that stuff, they're going to look like the most uncomfortable thing in the world. And there are other people that can just make that stuff work. It just depends on the person, and I think that's part of the variety of the show. Austin just walked out in black boots and the music playing and wobbling his head and flipping people off, and it worked. And it was one of the most spectacular entrances of all time. So it just depends on the character, and I think a little bit of variety is what makes it all work.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, guys. Really appreciate it.
Our next question is from the line of Jason Powell from Pro Wrestling Net. Your line is open.
Hey, Jason.
I thought the show. Hey, good to talk to you again. I thought the show was entertaining and well worked by the crew. And I don't mean any disrespect in saying this. It's obviously just my perspective, but it's felt like something's been missing from NXT lately, and I think it goes beyond just the bigger crowds. So I'm curious, how do you guys feel about the state of the brand? Do you feel like you're firing on all cylinders? Do you feel like you're in need of a spark?
I think you're always looking for a spark. I think you're coming out of COVID with certain storylines and the ebb and flow of where you're going. Everybody has their opinion, and they're entitled to those opinions. I'm happy with the product. I think talent are working very hard. I think the spark comes. No show goes for 10 straight years without having ebb and flow. No show goes through periods of time where things are, hey, this is pretty good, and then a certain period of time where things are off the chart. That's just how it is. You're constantly looking for that. You're constantly looking for the thing that gets you to the place and connects. Sometimes you got to reboot. Sometimes you're just telling a longer term story. It's all every single day in this business. It's a work in progress, and you can look at moments in time of the business where people's hindsight was 20/20 of looking back into it, or their remembrance of it was much greater, I should say, than what it was. There's always that ebb and flow, always, and everybody's welcome to have their opinion. I'm happy with where we are. I'm happy with the talent pool we have, and where they're going to take us. It's a group of incredibly talented people. I'll put that out against anything. I think we have one of the greatest rosters in the world across the board. So, we'll every day is the challenge to get to the next one.
I always take it as a compliment, Jason, and I think it's a good problem to have when you get held to a standard that sometimes is tough. I can remember, it's not a good match. Yeah, but it wasn't a match of the year candidate. Like, okay, no, you're right. It was the Unforgiven pay-per-view, and and so so when you start, and I think that's what NXT and their takeovers do, that we've been held to such a high standard, which is a good problem to have, and I think. When talent, hear feedback, it just, again, like yours, and again, no disrespect taken, to be perfectly honest. I think people see that, and it just encourages them. It just makes them work harder, makes them push more, and it certainly does us as well. You know what I mean? So I sort of like those challenges, but I also have learned over the years to take it as quite a compliment to when everyone's saying, but it wasn't, wasn't as good as Taker's, wasn't as good as Flair. It's like, yeah, well, okay, you got me there.
Yeah.
So again, I think we still got a pretty good batting average here in NXT, and hitting over 400, I think's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So we're doing pretty well, I think.
Our next question comes from the line of Ryan Satin from Fox Sports. Please go ahead, Ryan.
Hey guys,
Ryan.
killer show tonight. Hey. MSK, I've noticed, has a real DX-like vibe to them. Have they come to you guys looking for input on that?
Who was that? Oh, MSK? No, not really. I mean, I think we just sort of kind of let them be them. I don't know. What would you think?
No, that's the thing. Because I was just talking with them yesterday, honestly, and that's exactly what it is. I don't know. The funny thing is, what they seem to enjoy about us is that we do. We haven't tried to change them. They talked about how we let them be them and just try to allow them to have fun, enjoy themselves, you know what I mean, and try to just get the most out of what they do. We try to, again, make it a relaxed atmosphere here. We don't put anybody into a box around here as best we can. We always knew what we liked when we were working, and it's when we were challenged, when we were encouraged to go out there. The best advice we ever got was go out there, and if you go too far, I'll pull you back. And that's sort of what we encourage people to do here is go ahead and take risks. Go ahead and experiment, see what works. And if we start asking you to dial it back, that's because we're worried somebody's going to kick us off the air or something. Yeah. But it's encouraging talent to make the most of themselves.
And the other aspect of that is also knowing when something is a crutch, a certain character trait or a certain thing that they do that you feel like they're better than this or they're beyond that. But that's the thing they've gotten comfortable doing. And that's the hardest. That growth is difficult, and it's hard to face. So sometimes you have to push them outside of that comfort zone of them wanting to just be what they've been before, and you want to encourage them to get to a different place, try to do something different and something new. And, when you challenge them to that, I honestly find that 99% of the time here, if you challenge them to get outside of the box that they're in and do something new and different and wild, man, they get out there.
And those boys like that.
Yeah, they love it.
They react to that in just a phenomenal way.
All right, folks, we'll do one more and we'll call it a night.
Thank you. We'll take our last question from Billy Pritchard from WrestleZone.com. Your line is open.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. I wanted to ask, the show ended on a bit of a cliffhanger tonight, and short of asking you where it's going, we obviously have to tune in on Tuesday. What has William Regal meant to the brand for you, and what can he still do? What do you feel like he can still help talent with, whether it's people leading to conclusions and he's going to be off air, or if he keeps going, like how can he still help the brand no matter what his on-screen role is moving forward?
That was the coolest, quietest way of asking us what's going to happen on Tuesday of all time. Look, William Regal, it's just imperative. He's been such an integral part of this since day one. There are certain people that have, and then there's people that have come in along the way that have become, like, it's hard to envision doing it in any sort of way without them. Regal's definitely one of those people. And I don't think that we will ever do it without him. He'll be a part of this until the day that he tells me he doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. But
I'll still be embalming him and sending him over to the UK with me if I have to. That's for sure.
He just loves. It's like it's why Sean's here. It's why I'm here. It's why Matt Bloom's here. Sarah's here. It's why this whole team is here. They love the business, and they love all the aspects of this business and want to see it continue and move forward. They want to help guide it and change it into the future, try to create the business that they always hoped and wished it could be as they were coming up, and get rid of the things that none of us liked or understood about the business, and enhance the bits and pieces that we did love about it. And he is that way to the core. He's constantly pulling talent aside, constantly in their ear. He's one of the biggest recruiting factors we have. He's got a handle on just about everybody that's out there, and is one of the best eyes of somebody that's maybe never done this before, that steps in the ring, and just athletically you can see, okay, yeah, they'll be able to do this and do it really well. He's incredible at that. So his value here, tough to be measured, and he'll always be a part of it, no matter where we go on Tuesday.
Yeah, whether he's an owner character or not, I think he's a coach to the end.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's just in Steve's
who
blood.
he is. It's who he is as a human being.
That's right. It's just Steve. Can't help but to want to help younger talent, and he's always been that way, and he will be that, regardless of whether he's on TV or not. I can promise you.
Yeah. Good.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up tonight's conference call. I'll turn it over to Paul and Sean for some closing comments.
So, one, I just wanted to to thank fans for the last, year and a half, for all of it. I mean, it's Jesus since the beginning. But, the last year and a half, as we and everybody in this business has tried to continue to do what we do through incredibly tough circumstances, to talent that worked through incredibly tough circumstances. I don't know how a lot of them did it, with no crowds, and it's not easy. And they've done it because they love performing for fans. They love performing for their reaction and everything else. And we talk about it a lot, but the putting smiles on people's faces, it just means letting people enjoy what we do. Have fun, enjoy it. Go to a show, enjoy it. Sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves. Sometimes people put too much pressure on themselves for stuff. We're not solving the world's ills. We're not doing anything insane. We're just giving people entertainment, and hopefully they enjoy it. Hopefully they love it, and we'll want to come back and see it some more. And so my hat's off to them for sticking with it and just being excited to see it. And then as we're getting to the other side of this, coming back in droves, and I can tell you that there were a bunch of giddy like children talent here today because we had a packed arena. It's not a ton of people, but it's a packed arena, and it was awesome. And the Raw, SmackDown, everybody else, we're all about to go back out on the road and begin to do things, and people are, our talent are thrilled to get back out there, be in front of people, be in front of their fans in general, and just do what we do and entertain people. So thank you to them. Thank you for being here tonight, Justin, and just being a part of the show. And hopefully, you'll all be the judges, but hopefully he did a good job, and you'll all be invited on as well, which I think he did awesome. And look forward to being able to do this with others as well. And just thanks for everybody for joining us tonight. Sean, you want to add anything?
Nah.
No.
No, thank y'all very much. No, it is. I guess for me it's simple. I mean, for us it is fun to get back in front of the people again. It's just, I don't know, when you're out there in front of nobody, you'd be surprised what 350 do for you. And I don't know. Like I said, it feels like we're finally getting back to, I don't know, the original reason why we all do this business is to go out there and perform. And it was a nice start tonight.